Commence primary ignition.
I'm just not the hero type, clearly.
What a piece of junk.
Enterprise, this is the captain.
I got a bad feeling about this.
It's all part of the plan.
Engage.
Welcome to Podcast 2 for 1. This is episode 47. Yes, 47 of the beloved podcast where you get all your favorite geeky, nerdy movie discussions, video game discussion, comic book things. It's all here, baby. My name is Donovan Thompson with my co-host,
Daniel Wingfield.
And of course, if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button below. That way you're up to date on all future episodes for Podcast 2 for 1.
Yep.
Daniel, we just went through the DC FANDOME.
FANDOME. I didn't even realize that was a shtick thing until like afterwards, but it's fine.
It's already built in because next year, if we get to have human interaction again, they can have it at an actual dome and keep the name.
I thought it was fun. Yeah, man. I have to say, these Saturday may be the best digital kind of showcase we've had, period, since COVID. The announcements were bangers.
Yes,
just banger. Yeah. I mean, it was just hype on hype on hype. It was movie hype. It was game hype. It was just, and again, it was just like those announcements were, they lived up to expectations.
Yeah.
I think 100%. And some of them exceeded. I would say, like, for instance, the Batman, that exceeded my expectations. So I feel like, man, it was just a great day for hype and a great day for excitement. I think it was nice to get that in the midst of this COVID where it's like, things are still coming that we love, and like the world's still moving, and we're still getting to interact with some of the things we're missing. But man, what a day! Great day.
Yeah, it was amazing. And of course, you kind of touched upon it a little bit. The Batman stole the show, and if you're interested, wait till the end of the episode for our hot take on it.
True.
And you might get a special guest involved as well. Watch and find out.
True, you should.
Okay, so the FANDOME, this was, of course, they announced like the week or two beforehand that they're going to break this up into 2 different days now.
Right.
We're going to focus on the movies and the games, basically the good day early, and we'll have the other day later. And let's hit on the movie stuff and the game stuff. So right out of the gate, we had Wonder Woman 84. Did you watch the trailer for Wonder Woman 84?
I did. I mean, it didn't make me any less or more excited for the movie, but it was a good trailer.
And the big thing about that trailer was seeing Cheetah for the first time.
Which was...
It was fine. It was better than I thought it was going to be based on the leaked merchandise and all that kind of stuff that I've been looking at. It still was kind of like, it was kind of interesting. Very CGI-y.
I feel like I already know that what it feels like it's like the plot from The Incredible Hulk with Abomination.
Yes.
It's that she wants to be like that. So she's like over the course of the movie getting more injections or treatments of whatever that makes her more and more cheetah-like until the end. Then she's like a cheetah woman.
I think it's more mystical than what you're thinking. Okay. But yes.
Okay.
And
maybe so.
And that's not someone I have tried to stay away from it. Honestly, the spoilers and plot, but also part of it is like we get a new trailer every 3 months. They think they're fixing a release, and so we get more and more information. It's just stacking up in my brain.
Yeah, and mainly it's that line from Diana. Oh, whatever her name. What have you done?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
I think
it looks good. I'm still excited to watch it.
I can't think of his name, but our boy, the Mandalorian. Pedro Pascal. I think he has all to do with it, actually.
Oh, and also, obviously.
And also bringing Steve Trevor back.
He's he's like the bad behind her.
Exactly.
For sure.
So, of course, we had Wonder Woman. It didn't really change our opinions on it. I was going to be there day one.
Yeah. Still want to watch it.
Yeah, of course. And so let's talk about some other big things real quick. Let's talk about Black Adam. Black Adam was a big deal.
Right.
The Rock coming out, he's been talking about this character for about 10 years, and we got some big, hard, concrete things. We got the GSA coming back, the Justice Society of America, which is like kind of like the golden age Justice League, and they've kind of reappeared in different forms in the comics. Big, heavy hitters there like Dr. Fate. We have Atom Smasher. Dr. Fate's a huge fan favorite. It's a big deal for comic book people. And if you don't know, and they're kind of, if you look, they're keeping true to the comics here. Black Adam used to be an Egyptian slave, and he ends up getting the power of Shazam from the gods of eternity, and he ends up being either kind of like Captain America, right? Or he kind of comes up 5,000 years later.
Okay,
and so he's still going to bring justice and kind of fight for the weaker people, and he does about it in a very not so nice way sometimes. And so we have him teaming up with the GSA. in modern day time. And there was this great, and even if you weren't excited about it, The Rock is just so good about like pumping you up. I was getting chills from it. And he even calls out the Justice League like, "Hey, I'm coming for you." He calls out Superman. So I kind of wonder,
is he make an appearance?
What if Superman's the bad guy in Black Adam? Wouldn't that be interesting?
It would be. I could see it. I hope they do it right. I hope it's not ham-fisted. I can see it there. I could see it happening.
Yeah. I think it'd be great to kind of showcase Superman when you have him in like kind of like or Tony Stark role, like Civil War.
Right.
You have him in that way, and here's why: because Black Adam is doing these I'm gonna say heroic deeds, but in a very violent and very hard way. But you have him go up against basically the same power set, very similar look, and you have the Superman way versus the Black Adam way, and you can see maybe Black Adam becomes more of an anti-hero by the end of the movie and is kind of more, maybe more good than he is bad by the end of it by dealing with Superman. They may not go that route, but I can see that as a brilliant way to have Superman back in the equation, but also revealing through Black Adam why Superman is cool and great, and also even Superman's own flaws too.
Right.
Cool. So Black Adam, big thing also, we had Suicide Squad by James Gunn.
Yeah, and all we got though was that kind of animated character profiles, right?
No, dude. We had a whole 3-minute behind the scenes video.
Okay, I did watch that. But I was like, it's behind the scenes.
And that shows a few scenes kind of from the movie.
It does, but I was just like, I don't want behind the scenes. I want a trailer.
Sure.
I was watching that just mad it wasn't a trailer.
Well, I was jacked for it just because we get this James Gunn craziness. He was with Trauma years before he was in Guardians of the Galaxy, and Trauma is this not Andy Kaufman, I can't think of his name, but
stuff he got in trouble for when he almost got fired.
Yeah, yes. Romeo and Juliet, the Toxic Avenger, all these Trauma things, and now he's got a superhero property, but probably gonna be rated R with all these cool and zany characters. And what's funny or what's interesting to me is the costumes. They feel almost like cosplay and kind of leaning into the absurdity that these characters think they're badasses, and it's being pitched as it's a Vietnam movie, or Vietnam superhero war movie. And I'm all about that.
So it's set in Vietnam?
I don't think it's set in Vietnam. It's modern day. It's a sequel to Birds of Prey. Like Harley Quinn is on a trajectory here from Suicide Squad, Birds of Prey to this one.
So it's still, is the original Suicide Squad still canon?
Yes.
With this movie?
There's a statement saying it's like its own thing, but yes, it's the same Amanda Waller, it's the same Rick Flag, it's the same Captain Boomerang, it's the same Harley Quinn, all the same actors and everything else.
But we don't have Will Smith in this one, right?
We don't have Will Smith. We have a guy named Idris Elba playing Bloodsport. Okay. And in the comics, he's known for the first person to ever shoot Superman. He got arrested for it. So I think it's gonna carry into this as well. And it's cool. His mask looks like a xenomorph, like an alien. It's like the dome up here. Got the mouth. I love that. I thought it was really cool. But it's like a fun, zany James Gunn movie.
For sure.
And it was just great. And it makes me excited about it. One more movie thing, of course, is before we get into the game stuff, that was a big deal, was Zack Snyder's Justice League.
Yeah, a real big trailer. I was not a fan of the trailer. And in the song, no. Zach. Hallelujah. Sung by this wannabe Johnny Cash guy or something. Zach.
Well, what's interesting about that song is he has a huge connection to it because, and I agree with everything you're saying. It was honestly, when I watched the trailer, and I have watched it multiple times,
you mute it?
I mute it. I really do. I turn it on
till the
really
very
low.
end.
Yeah, to really low.
And honestly, the end line, it was a little bit
I liked it just because we were gonna fuck it. Let's just get into it. I'm in this world. It can't be any worse than fucking last time. Surely
it's not a 4:3 movie.
I don't know. I don't think it is 4:3. I think it's the IMAX aspect ratio, but it's just so fucking different that it makes our widescreen screens look like it's 4:3. I don't think it's 4:3.
Maybe right.
Which makes me, we'll get into that. I think, yes, the song is problematic. He says that he chose this 2 years ago whenever he was doing trying to do the trailer initially for his cut. It's also got ties to him. He loves it. It was in Watchmen whenever.
I don't care, Zach. I'm sorry.
That's what I'm saying.
I don't care.
I think it's a poor choice. I don't think if he had released
this is the one moment where you need a producer to step in.
Exactly. 100%. And we also learned, of course, it was all new footage. I won't lie. Darkseid looked awful. He looked like a CGI mess to me. And I was like, man, he looks like garbage.
I didn't really make any opinions about the CGI, but the trailer, it was just kind of a montage of. It felt like a music. It felt like a fan made video someone does after a movie comes out and just puts a music song and just cuts different scenes to the movie.
I don't have a problem with what the content consisted of, just because it was
just a boring way to do a trailer.
Well, it was just confirming that it was. Yeah, it definitely makes it. This is not a movie release, right? This is an alternative version of what we were going to get.
Fair.
And I know, and to your credit, I wanted the movie trailer.
Yes.
That's what I wanted.
Yes.
And we got something much different than that. And it was cool seeing the alternative takes like we talked about in our episode, where his dad dying and Flash traveling back in time and Iris, all these things we talked about
are actually now in the movie.
Which
is cool. And
that's all real cool stuff, and there's even some things that, we didn't talk about that I saw in there that I thought was really interesting. And it's just cool to see that kind of stuff. And I'm excited to see what happens with it, of course. One thing they announced that it's going to be 4 1-hour episodes.
I love it.
We don't know if it's all, I doubt it's at once. It may be at once. It may be, and here's why I don't think it's at once. It may be at once. It may be daily. It may be a weekly kind of thing.
It won't be daily. It'd be weekly.
That's what I would think. Just to get, you have people pass.
Just to have a month of hype.
Exactly. And it's interesting because we already know the content of it, but I guess people won't. I don't care. I'm, of course, going to buy it. The thing with, I don't think it's dropping all at once, that he said, we're going to try to think of a way to give it to you all at once, like in a 4-hour format. Afterwards.
Right.
And he said that they're also working on a distribution deal internationally. So they're trying to figure out how to get people to watch it internationally. Because HBO Max is not available. And there's a lot of people who are part of the Snyder Cut or the Snyder Cut movement that helped get this happening. And they can't watch it legally.
They'll pirate it.
Sure, but if they're part of the movement, you want to get to them legally. Anyway, it's exciting. If you want to know more about the Snyder Cut, check out our Snyder Cut breakdown of this 5-movie arc.
Yes.
I'm in for it all day. There's not much we can say about it other than, I'm here. I'm here for it.
Yep. I'm excited.
Let's get into some games.
Sure.
Let's do Gotham Knights since it started first.
Yeah. In fact, I sent you I don't know if you saw that tweet I sent you earlier today.
I did.
But there's actually a bit more info that's come out. So Gotham Knights was announced. It is the new game from Rockstar Montreal. No, sorry, not Rockstar Montreal. WB Montreal. And it is their next continuation. It's not a continuation of the Arkhamverse. It's kind of a spin-off. It's similar to how they did Origins, where they had their own Batman voice and things like that. It made me think, I was like, wait, is Origins not in the Arkhamverse?
It is.
Okay.
It's called Arkham Origins.
That's true. So it's Gotham Knights. The premise is Batman is dead, which is interesting because it's basically taking the end of Arkham Knight, and it's almost like a Splinter universe in some ways.
It's really weird.
It's kind of like, okay, we're now splintering, and this is like an alternate version of those events where Batman is dead and he is Code Black is put out, so all these other knights are there, and then obviously the big thing is the Court of Owls is the main
Give it to me.
thing, and I loved everything I got out of that.
I do love that, but honestly, it hurts me that I don't have Batman dealing with the Court of Owls because they're so tied to his mythology.
But we know he's not really dead. I mean, my instinctual gut thing is, well, he faked his death to flush out the owls.
Or that, and we've talked about, I think before, maybe other podcasts or privately, that the Court of Owls has this thing where they kind of bring back their old assassins. What if he's working under them now, like unwillingly?
Yeah, exactly. No,
he's almost an antagonist at the end of it.
Right.
I can definitely see a DLC, either him leading up to fake his death, or like maybe an extra mission with him and the new Robin.
And then he becomes a playable character in the open world.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. Like him, the new Robin, like whoever the new Robin is.
The Red Robin.
Well, like maybe a younger, like Damian
Wayne.
A
new Robin.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like maybe his son is like the playable character in the DLC or something.
Okay. Interesting.
Because I think what I understand is it's 2-player co-op, right?
Well, no, the entire game can be played solo or co-op. You can beat the entire game with a friend online. I don't think it's couch co-op.
Really?
Or you can play by yourself.
It's interesting because in the demo they showed the screen split.
Then maybe I'm wrong. Yeah. I could be wrong. Maybe it is split screen.
I don't like that. I don't like vertical split screen. By the way, I just don't. Mario Kart
bad.
did that, and I just hate it.
It's only good for racing games.
Yeah. Even then.
So a few other details that have come out. It is a self-contained story and not a games as a service, which I was worried about. It can be played solo offline. A full open world, no level gating. Right.
Really?
So you can't go to this part of the city till you get to this level.
Sorry.
Gear includes melee, ranged weapons, and suits. So there's 4 characters you can play: Nightwing, Red Robin, Batgirl, and Red Hood.
Yes.
And so what we know is you can choose one character and play that one the entire game.
Really?
You don't have to switch, which
Wow.
that was a big thing for me. I'm that kind of, I want to pick one that I like and he's going to be my favorite, and I'm not going to touch another one.
Definitely do a Nightwing. I got to.
I don't know yet. I just need to play with it
Just
first.
'cause
he's
my
cool.
boy.
He's cool. He's got the black suit and the blue symbol. That I like that.
Well, he's the original Robin. You can't go wrong with him. I mean,
It's true.
Red Hood will have probably the more fun mechanics because he's got the
He
guns.
seems to be the one that'll be the most popular one. But I liked Red Robin's teleporting thing too. And that's a big thing. That there's a lot of RPG elements. You get to build and this is another part of it. Character builds vary widely depending on how you spec your knight. So my Red Robin could look vastly different than your Red Robin.
That's interesting.
And that's cool. Other things. So we saw a bit of that in a gameplay teaser. We saw them going on a Mr. Freeze mission. They assured us that that's just one of the villain quest lines. There's many others. And obviously the combat will be similar to the Arkham games, but with new things added. So I'm very excited, especially with that added info, knowing that it is entirely playable offline, that it's a story-based game, not a games as a service, and that I can pick one character and that can be my character. I don't have to be like, oh, well, next mission is a Batgirl mission.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, I don't want to do the Batgirl mission. That's all gravy. I love the Arkham Knights storyline, or sorry, the Court of Owls storyline. So I'm like, that's super interesting to me, much more than like the storylines of Origins or Dark Knight or Arkham Knight. I'm like, ooh, this is promising more than that. So yeah, I'm all in. I'm ready to check it out. 2021
Probably
is
fall.
the release date. I think it's very likely we don't get it until 2022, as most things are with this kind of thing.
You think it'll be delayed?
I mean, what game isn't delayed these days?
But they've been working on it for 4 or 5 years now.
When's the last game that announced it and didn't delay it once?
You're right. I mean, I have
Especially big budget AAA like games like this. Not your Call of Duties, not your Maddens, like your Halos, obviously. Your Last of Us's, these big multi-party IP. I mean, Valhalla could even get delayed before, who knows. I mean, Cyberpunk got delayed 3 or 4 times.
Here's the question. Was there a universe where this come out this fall, but they end up...
You mean next fall?
No, this fall. And seeing the writing on the wall and going, wait a minute, let's not announce anything yet. And then whenever all this happened, they really saw the writing on the wall and they're like, let's do fall just to give us even more padding. And maybe we'll be done with COVID by then. You know what I'm saying? Because they've been doing teases for this game for 2 years.
Yes.
It's been the longest blue balls thing ever for a video game.
But it was clear.
Small things.
It was
very small
clear
teasers.
like they had planned on releasing it earlier this year.
You
and
think
they
so?
stopped that. Well, it seemed like it was all leading up to the 35th anniversary of Batman or something. And then COVID happened. And then it put a pause on it, and it basically resumed right where it left off as far as those symbolisms that they were revealing.
Well, in that case, I really think we'll get it next fall. Then
I hope
really,
so,
or by next fall, maybe even earlier.
I just in this day and age, I kind of assume all AAA games are going to be delayed at least once.
Squad, the game. Well, real quick, sucks.
No,
Real quick, I think yes. There's a part of me that's like, man, I really want to play as Batman because Batman's Batman. I like Batman the most.
Sure.
But it's like, well, I did get 3 games with him and I can all do other Batman things.
exactly.
But I'm like, I also play it. It looks fun. I love the universe. I can get behind these characters. And it's also a AAA superhero game. I have to support it.
Yeah. And I kind of agree with him. If you're going to do more Batman, it kind of needs to be like Batman Beyond or something different. Something that's going to have a different play style, a different world. We've been in the Arkham games for 4 games now. 3 of them are open world. And by the Arkham Knight, that open world felt stale to me. I felt like I'd gotten a lot of what it gave me in like City before. You know what I'm saying? And so it was just kind of like I'm ready for a new palette, not these ultra beefy characters with biceps the size of their heads.
Think about this Batman game. What if it's like Arkham Knight, but let's add Red Dead elements in it where you can even more intricate missions and you can go inside the buildings, solve crimes, maybe fall upon a crime that no one even talked to you about.
I want an Arkham game. I want an Arkham game or a Batman game where you can at any point change into Bruce Wayne and walk around.
Yes.
And do shit.
Yes.
And then pop somewhere and change into Batman.
Yes.
I want
and
that.
it's a day-night system.
Yes.
Yes.
And you have to be careful about where you're out during the day because you'll get like more bad shit. You know, if you're too much, if you're too in the open during the day, like there's
And
consequences.
maybe you have to go do a charity during the daytime as Bruce Wayne, and you don't do it, and it maybe affects how the ending is,
exactly,
or something like that.
Exactly.
God damn, why don't they just hire us? That's a great idea. That's a really cool idea. And right now you can't hear Daniel, so he's you can't hear him at all. So you're going to hear me. One other cool thing is that was announced, of course, was Rocksteady's not announced, but finally showcased.
I'm back
in CGI form. Was Rocksteady's Suicide Kills the Justice League?
Yeah.
And we got a cool cinematic, a very long cinematic.
Yeah.
We got the biggest things we've known from this that we learned was like what? We have 4 playable characters: King Shark, Bloodshot, no Deadshot. King Shark, Deadshot, Harley Quinn, and of course Captain Boomerang, which are all these people that were in previously in the Suicide Squad, both movies. So we have them. We learned that it's not a games of service from what I understand.
Well, they're trying to get away from that verbiage, but I'm not sure if that's actually true.
You're right. They didn't really flat out say it wasn't, but they did say you could change into any of the characters at whim. Like you can like hit a button and you become Harley Quinn and kind of switch around.
It just sounds like Ultimate Alliance at that point to me, though.
Yeah, but I don't think it will. I think they said that what they called it a action adventure shooter.
Yes, that is. It's. They say it's a genre-bending third-person shooter.
Yes.
The actual classification is third-person shooter.
Yeah, so I feel like
Mass Effect cover shooter.
I feel like it's going to be like a mix of Uncharted and Arkham, kind of like where you're basically like, it's behind you. And
so it's probably not going to be any open world. It's probably all linear missions.
I don't know. I think they talked about Metropolis being like this canvas to play in.
That's true, yeah.
And so you have Superman, of course, and dealing with the Justice League, which I wonder, and this is in the Arkhamverse, so they're going to reference things that happened in the previous Arkham games.
So Batman's dead.
Will he be dead? Like they never told us he was dead or not dead in those. And so it'd be interesting to see if Batman makes an appearance in this one. Because it's weird having a Justice League, you fight and kill, that Batman's not in the Justice League. It's really weird.
Oh, yeah, it is. It is. I mean, he's a core part.
Of course, we also have to see what other characters from Justice League show up, like Green Lantern, Wonder Woman, of course, will be there, Martian Manhunter, maybe Cyborg, and even the Flash. And it might be cool to figure out how you deal with these bosses. Of course, we don't have seen gameplay. It's kind of disappointing. They say we're 2 years out and we saw nothing.
It's going to be more than 2 years, in my opinion.
I don't see Gotham Knights being delayed. I can see Suicide Squad being delayed.
I hope you're right.
Yeah.
I don't think you are.
I think I'm more excited for Gotham Knights than Suicide Squad.
I'm totally.
Just because, I'm like, okay, and their big pitches. Well, we want to, our first thing is to pick the characters, and we'll go from there, and that kind of stuff. I'm like, yeah, it's fine, but like, you could have picked Superman. Like, you could have done Superman. Like, you're doing him in a different way, but like, you could have.
It feels like they almost had to do this because of all the other Suicide Squad stuff going on that they want, that like WB wanted them.
I thought there was like some rumors that Warner Brothers Montreal was doing Suicide Squad, and they ended up taking it from them.
They did. They were before Arkham Knights.
Gotham Knights.
Gotham Knights. They were doing one, and it didn't go well, and they canceled it, and they switched to Gotham Knights. But it's completely separate entity from the one that main WB Rocksteady is doing. That's a main. They it was. From what I understand, this is Jason Schreier's reporting. They seem to be unique instances. It wasn't like, oh, this isn't doing good, give this to Rocksteady.
Okay,
it was
gotcha.
like, oh, this isn't doing good, we're canceling this and trying something else. And Rocksteady at this around the same time were like, hey, we've got an idea for a Suicide Squad.
Gotcha. Well, one thing that Montreal did do way better than Rocksteady in their game versus Arkham Knight was Deathstroke, who at the end of Arkham Origins, it was the big tease for a Suicide Squad. Like Amanda Waller's coming to him, and you're like, oh shit, we're going to get a Suicide Squad game with Deathstroke. So it sounds like, that's why it's very confusing.
Yeah.
It's interesting. It's so weird. It's like these two studios and they're forced to make Warner Brothers Batman games or Batman Universe games.
Right.
It's such a fascinating thing.
Yes.
And it's like right now, Montreal, they're the underdogs. Because even though Arkham Origins,
it's the worst of the four.
Even though it's really fun and it has way better boss fights than Arkham Knight does, it might be the weakest one, even though actually there might be a case might be better than Arkham Knight actually. But Arkham Origins has a cool Joker origin story, cool Batman getting his feet wet, and it's got some cool boss battles in it. I like the winter setting, everything else. But they're really the underdogs here. And
they are.
They have something to prove, but at
the same time, I think they have the more potentially successful game.
I do too.
I think, for one, I just would rather play Nightwing than Suicide Squad.
100%.
As a character I'm playing.
Not even a question.
Yeah.
Cool. So we'll hopefully get that, in the next couple of years. It would be nice if we had a price point or, a fucking console launch date so I can think about what console or what game.
Do some
I wanna
budgeting.
buy. Yeah, exactly. So last thing to talk about movie-wise before we jump into the Batman, let's talk about the Flash.
Yeah.
This is a big deal, and I kind of want to say this last before the Batman reveal or Batman discussion, because the Flash, as we've all known and it kind of been talked about beforehand, we're doing Flashpoint. And yes, Ezra Miller is returning as the Flash, unfortunately. But what we do know is that Batfleck is returning.
Sure.
And from what we've a lot of information about concerning him is that, he was in a bad place beforehand.
Yeah.
And, alcoholism and also his marriage, other things like that. Now he's in a good spot again. He
He
wants
looks
to come
healthy
back.
in that little video stream.
He looks healthy. He
He
looks good.
Clean.
And
clean
they're
cut.
saying that, of course, this is the same universe as Justice League. So, which begs the question, which we can talk about if you want, is which universe are we going off of now? Are we going off the Zack Snyder Justice League, or is
I mean, I've already told you, I think that the Snyder Justice League will be canon.
as of today, the recording, there's talks that after, depending on how the reaction is, that Zack
Right.
Snyder may get a Justice League 2.
Yeah, I mean, I 100% believe that is in the cards. I think what they're looking at is, hey, if we're reviving a lot of what his 5-movie plan was, then
So
why aren't we
fascinating.
using what he did in this pivotal movie in the arc to set that stuff up? Because otherwise, you're just going to have to pull that out of your ass in later movies.
I really think it will be a much different. I think it might be maybe a similar story than what we all know, because of course we all know it now.
I think it'll be I don't think it'll be verbatim what he pitched, but I think it will be still
His version,
core.
his Justice League.
It ultimately will still be his arc.
Yeah, I mean, if we have Shazam in there and we have Aquaman, part of me wants to see it, part of me wants to see somebody else like me take it over. But I mean, I'm here for it either way, I guess. But no, the big thing is, of course, Batfleck's coming back. We have concept art showing Michael Keaton's Batman, which begs the question: will Michael Keaton be de-aged for this? Will he be still? Because he looked in the concept art like young Batman.
But it was so dark, you can't tell.
That's true. But then would Batman still be fighting in that same suit at an old Michael Keaton age? Who knows? And of course, cool thing also, Michael Keaton, I think it's either one Batman or the other, but Flash gets his new suit from one of the Batman. The impression I got was that from Michael Keaton Batman, he makes the suit for him, which is kind of hard to believe considering.
See, I'm wondering if Michael Keaton is. I'm wondering if they're setting up the Michael Keaton Batman for a Batman Beyond universe.
100%.
Because I'm pretty sure at the first, even in the cartoon show, I want to say the first episode of Batman Beyond has Bruce Wayne still trying to suit up once and
Sure.
like failing.
I hope so.
And like getting beat up and stuff because
I'd
he's
love
old. So my wonder is this: he finds old Bruce Wayne. Bruce Wayne decides to suit it up one more time. They go on this adventure. When he gets back, is like we get an Easter egg of
Terry
him like
McGinnis.
like pulling up on his computer, looking at Terry McGinnis.
That's a huge possibility. I can also see the rumor we had where Michael Keaton is dragged into our Prime universe,
Right.
and he's the new Nick Fury of the new timeline kind of thing, which would be like fucking sick, wouldn't it?
Just having Michael Keaton in the DCEU all the time.
That'd be wild. So we have that, and of course they didn't talk about it, but we just have to know by now that Jeffrey Dean Morgan is going to be Thomas Wayne Batman in some form.
Sure.
I can only imagine that Thomas Wayne Batman is going to be fighting Michael Keaton Batman, and then Reverse Flash is going to be fighting the Flash.
Of course.
And then Ben Affleck will be capping both sides of the universe. So he'll be the opening and maybe the end. And you know, I think they've talked about this extensively, but it's the true birth of the multiverse. Everything you've known as canon. And I'm very excited about it.
Yep, I'm too.
It's really cool. Any other thing we'll talk about DC fandom before we snap to our special guest and talk, of course, the Batman?
I think that's it.
All right, Daniel, let's do it. And we're here with very special guest, Dr. Bruce Hutchinson, to talk the Batman trailer. We've been talking DC fandom the whole episode. And of course, we were going to end it with the Batman, and no other better guest than the person where we lost the Dark Knight Rises episode with,
Right.
than to talk the new Robert Pattinson, Matt Reeves Batman movie. Guys, this is the thing that I was most excited about the most. And now indulge me and tell me how excited you are for the movie.
Is that you dinging?
That's
That's
not
me.
me.
Okay, that's fine. I'm not offended then.
Yes, it's
You're
Bruce.
fine, Bruce.
Thanks.
Yeah.
No,
if I
you-
did it, we're in trouble.
Yes. Bruce, I know you just recently watched the trailer a few minutes ago. What did you feel? Just kind of fresh reactions.
Yeah, it looks really interesting. I'll say a couple of things that you guys will have a lot more background on this than me.
Sure.
It looked like it was from the same world as the Joker movie. It had the same tone and feel. I'm not saying that.
I do hear that. Yeah. That was you.
That was me.
That was you.
Now I'm in trouble.
Yeah.
I'm really interested to see how Robert Pattinson's going to do as a Batman. Of course, I think like a lot of us, I was not a fan of his after Twilight. Although I actually love all the Twilight movies. I think they're hilarious and I enjoy watching them. But I was not a fan of his afterwards, or Kristen Stewart, by the way.
Yeah.
But after they both left those things, they went off and did really awesome stuff. And now I'm a huge fan of both of them.
Yeah.
So I'm really excited to see him. He kind of seems like mopey Batman. So
emo Batman.
Very emo.
Yeah. I don't have a background on sort of the comic side of it, so I'm curious, to hear. But yeah, it definitely piqued my interest. So
yeah.
Well, I'll say this. Yes. If you're a person out there and you heard Robert Pattinson, you go, oh man, Twilight. Just first of all, I said the same thing with Chris Evans with Captain America. I said the same thing with Ryan Reynolds as Green Lantern and all these other people. That
one was fair.
They're actors. He's a good Hal Jordan. They're actors. They're paid to hopefully hone their craft and to deliver a performance. And Robert Pattinson has proven himself multiple times in the last 4, 5, 6 years.
Yeah, I watched the Safdie brothers movies.
I mean, Good Time is amazing. Yeah. He's incredible. He's a chameleon. He's really so different in every movie. His accents, his look, and all these other things.
It is impressive, his range. Honestly, I was he has like one line in the movie in the trailer, and it's an amazing line. But I was watching like a BTS like interview with him, and his voice is so high pitched, in real life. Yeah. I was like, but he's actually having to lower it even to that. Yeah.
Now, on the movie side of it, if you know me, and these two guys do, I am a huge serial killer Fincher. That's like right up my alley. And I've been saying forever, I want a Batman movie where he's a detective, and this is that movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. When I watched the trailer, I was like, oh, Batman meets Seven.
It's awesome.
I mean, that was the first thing. Like that scene in the beginning with Black Gordon.
Jeffrey Wright.
Yeah, sorry. Yes. I couldn't think of his name. You knew what I meant. No, it's what?
No, I just
it's
just funny.
I love Jeffrey Wright. It looked like it could have been a scene in Seven.
Yeah.
Like that, you could have taken that frame out and been like, yeah, there's a scene from Seven. And you totally would have believed it. Yeah. Like that same kind of brownish, orangish, like lighting and everything.
Color tone,
that great. Yeah. Of course, Colin Farrell, he's in the trailer. It's kind of blown up the internet. He is the guy who laughs. And he says he's crazy. It's the Penguin. He's he's in heavy makeup.
I didn't know that when I just assumed, here's a goon.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's supposed to be the Penguin. Holy shit.
That's crazy. And of course, the big thing is we look like the Riddler is the bad guy.
Yeah.
We have, I can't think of his name, but whenever they announced his casting,
it's a perfect casting. It's the preacher and There Will Be Blood.
Yeah. And he's also in Prisoners.
I'm blanking on his name.
Paul Dano.
Paul Dano is the Riddler.
Yeah, he's going to be amazing. Yeah. But, and this is spoilers. It's not spoilers. I'll say this. The first thing they say when Jeffrey Wright Gordon is reading the card, he says, "Who?" And I was like, wait a minute. So, and I finally, this is like a week and a half after the DC FANDOME. We're recording this, so we're a little behind. But immediately,
it's not. It's literally like 4 or 5 days.
Sure. Okay, 4 or 5 days ago. It's
Wednesday. It happened Saturday.
No, that's right. Well, when they listen to this, who knows when they listen to this? This is next week.
Immediately.
Okay, sure. And so essentially, that to me says the Court of Owls, which is this huge.
The Illuminati in the Batman verse.
It's the Illuminati of Gotham, and it's like this. It's a huge deal, and I'm like, I've been foaming at the mouth for about 10 years now. Like, please do Court of the Owls something. Yeah. And it seems like we might be getting that. And they have ties to Bruce's parents' death. They have all these big
which will make that a fresh story again because it's a different take on. Because that was another thing someone said.
That's good to know because that was one of the questions I had. Why Batman again? Right?
Well, that was someone said. I saw a tweet. It was like, They should really they should do a movie where they talk about why Bruce Wayne became Batman. Like, what happened there? Was there some kind of backstory? Because it's literally every Batman movie addresses it.
And I could be reaching, but that's a very specific thing. And also, I don't know if they'll be in this movie at all. I think there might be an overarching trilogy kind of villain.
Yeah, that would be my guess. My guess is the Riddler's the main bad.
Yes.
Maybe the Penguin too, but then the ending, the Joker card will, if you will, of Batman Begins will be we're dealing this. There was a puppet master here.
Yeah,
even the Riddler was being controlled.
I think so. I think the movie.
I think it needs to me. It feels like the only way if we're gonna do more Batman, we have to do something different.
Yeah,
right.
And to do its plot line that even in the comics, the kind of point of that plot line was to freshen up the Batman stories.
Yeah.
It seems like, well, why wouldn't you do this? Everyone loves it. Everyone's a fan of it. It seems like the natural place to go. That trailer, for one, I think it was just a great trailer. Even just if we analyzed it beyond genre, and it's just a good trailer.
A few things real quick.
Hold on. I just want to say real quick.
We're running out of time.
I know. The action there,
yes.
I think we're way better than Bale. We're getting close to Batfleck, and I just need to see more. But that action was just visceral and fun and violent. And that line, I get chills every time I watch it. It doesn't matter how many times I'm vengeance. It just is like, that's such core Batman, but it's not core Batman we've done a lot with in the movies. That part.
Yeah. Few things. Quarter owls would be cool because owls are natural predators of bats.
Right.
So that's a cool thing.
Of course.
Second thing, yes, I think that the fighting is, and also it's indicative of what kind of Batman this is going to be, and the line "I'm vengeance" because he always says "I'm Batman" typically in these situations. This is a Bruce Wayne or a Batman who is angry. This is not someone who, like Christian Bale, who is basically, once they come back from their training, they have a mission, they have a goal, and they're kind of really heroic. This is a Batman who is going to beat the shit out of you, break some bones, and actually put the fear of God into people. And to me, that's exciting. And not only because we have to dive into the psychology of someone who, what is the person who goes out at nighttime and beats people up? And what kind of, what are they dealing with on the inside and here? And that's probably, in the real world, it's a very troubling thing.
Well, that is something I hope they kind of touch on. I mean, because if you look at the comics, Batman is kind of a fascist. I know that's kind of a hot take right now, but I mean, he just beats people up that don't agree with him. Yeah.
Shut your mouth.
I could just see them. He was just like all joy and like rage was filling his eyes. I do kind of want to deal with that a little more in this one, maybe. That if we're getting this rageful, just kind of bat out of hell, if you will, bat out of hell. I want to see us deal with that with him, and that be a part of his internal struggle, and that be a part of what's going on with his character and going on with the world. Because it also feels like we're with the conversations where they are with police violence, with, where these systems are broken that we're existing in. The funny thing is, in the Batman world, those systems were broken too. His solution is more violence.
Right.
And so it's kind of this, like, I feel like they're going to have to find a way to say something about that, to not feel like they're just, closing their eyes and their ears to the world around them.
Well, I think one thing to that is that they talked about this at the Fandome, and I mean, this is a little bit ahead of time, was that we are getting a Gotham TV show on HBO Max.
And it's a prequel to this movie.
Yes. Matt Reeves is the director. This is producing it, and it takes place in year one, kind of like when Batman kind of first starts appearing, because this movie takes place in year two of Batman. And so we're going to really get...
So we're going to see like batarangs, and we're going to see thugs have been beaten up or something.
Yeah, this series is supposed to really dive deep with corruption in Gotham, and they've talked extensively because of everything happening on with Black Lives Matters and all these other, these other issues happening. How are you going to tackle this corruption story with all these things happening? They said we are very aware of it, and we're going to do it as nuanced and hopefully as intelligently as we can.
Oh, they totally can. I mean, we can get The Wire in Batman-verse.
Yeah.
I think that's a pitch.
And we saw Watchmen be able to deal with complex issues.
Yeah.
So
maybe better than any other piece of
if
medium.
they decide to do it, they can do it. So I'm curious to see how that plays out.
So that would be cool, and I mean, I'm excited, guys. We haven't had it. We didn't really get it. We're getting Batfleck too. Actually, he's coming back.
Yeah. I told this. It's like there was a day last week where it was like the same day we got Batfleck and Michael Keaton coming back. I called it the Battening because it felt like it was just
Right.
like there was a day when all of us
Batman,
we went
yeah.
from one Batman to 3 in one like announcement.
Yeah. No,
You
it's
know?
just exciting.
It
Times.
is.
On a light note, I did see the Batmobile in the trailer,
Yeah.
I think, and it was sort of like a souped up muscle car, basically,
Yes.
which I thought was a
That's
fun
cool.
take.
It's really cool.
So.
And they're shooting in Liverpool in the UK.
I saw that,
And so it has like a totally different aesthetic for Gotham, which I'm
Right.
really down for.
Yeah.
You know, it's
Yeah.
it's not this, Chicago City or even like the
Pittsburgh or
yeah, exactly.
pick one of the movies from Dark Knight series.
Yeah, exactly. They all three look totally different, but it's,
CG City, Chicago, then Pittsburgh,
Yes,
right?
exactly.
Yeah.
And I think it's just all around. It's just like, man, this is cool. And his bat suit, it looks good in motion.
Yeah, I know they talked about it that like it's very like they said he needs to move fast.
Yeah.
We want this to be a practical suit that he can because I mean you see all that motion. He's moving very fast,
Right.
like much faster than you would ever see. I mean you might see Batfleck, but he's wearing a skin suit. Like, he's not wearing like an armor suit.
Right.
But yeah, I liked seeing that. I felt like this feels like it just feels like they're doing it right in a different way. So
a little over a year. So Daniel,
oof.
thank you again, Bruce, for stopping by and chatting with us
Oh,
for
yeah,
the Batman at the end of this episode. And where can our listeners write into us?
They can write in at bit.ly/2for1mail. There you can tell us what you thought about Battinson. That's the name. And tell us all sorts of other things about all our other DC fandom news. There's some other things we brought up. Video games, two new Arkham or Batman universe games to talk about. Let us know which one of those you're excited about. All that fun stuff.
Yeah, of course. And for more 2-for-1, go to podcast2for1.com. You can find all of our podcast service links on there. And of course, I always recommend people to watch the episode on YouTube. There you can subscribe to our channel. And of course, you don't want to comment on our Bitly, you can always comment in the section below. Let us know what you think about Michael Keaton coming back. Again, the games. And of course, Robert Pattinson, Batman. And let me know about Black Adam as well. I want to hear your thoughts on that. Daniel?
Donovan.
Bruce?
Donovan.
We have spoken.
I liked that.